Okay, I'm Gerald, and this is Jonathan here. Welcome to my session today, Jonathan. Good man, good to have you. And we're going to be doing this. The disclaimer is, Professor, that this is a video that's being done for class. Jonathan's agreed to that, and we're going to get through this. So we've taken care of that responsibility. Today we're going to talk about the assessment process, and Jonathan's going to go through the assessment with me. We're going to talk about that. So, Jonathan, what I'm going to do, we do an assessment whenever we start with the client.
Mm-hmm.
We find out about you, your history, your background, to get the big picture, and then we'll begin to break it down. So, any organization will do assessments before any kind of intensive outpatient, where you've probably taken people to intensive outpatients or to mental health centers. They always do an assessment to work through what the client's possible issues are set up for their understanding, and then there's a criteria that they go through, and so I'll just be doing that with you,
okay.
And then we'll get to the issues. Okay, so let me have your name and your date of birth, please.
Jonathan Quintero, May 30th, 1995.
That's a good month. Well done. I like May too. Okay, and today is October the 5th, 2021.
Correct.
And my name, of course, is Gerald Sudi. So, as you come today, what is your chief complaint? Tell me what brings you to counsel.
That's a good question. Just wanting to talk to someone just about issues, just things that are on my mind that are bothering me, or things that I'm having trouble sharing with other people, I guess.
Yeah, that's very good, because this is confidential. I will do paperwork. It shows that I will not share this with anybody. I'm under HIPAA, so this stays between you and me. Anything you tell me, I don't even tell my wife, because that would be a violation.
Right.
So you can be comforted by that fact that that's how we roll in these sessions. All right? Now, as you bring up this concerns, when did you say that these concerns, issues, or the problems began to surface where you say, hey, maybe I need to see somebody?
I think I came to the realization that I needed to talk to someone about two to 4 weeks ago, but it's stemming from issues that have been going on for a year now.
Okay.
A little over a year, maybe.
Okay. Very good. And your current stressors, tell me about some of the stressful situations you're presently going through that are having an impact on your daily life.
There's a stressor of just relational problems, divorce, religious, I guess, tug of war, if you will.
Like some conflict going on there.
Mm-hmm. And then just the daily, 9 to 5, if you will, at work. So just throwing some of that stuff in there, work being thrown into the mix of everything else, I guess.
Yeah, we're saying it's life being incorporated, how's it all integrated together, and
right.
The confusion and the conflict.
I guess being an adult, just growing up.
That works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to have somebody else make your decisions. Right?
Absolutely.
We went through all that. All right. Let me ask you just a couple of quick questions. I don't think, well, I'll let you answer these. You have ever been hospitalized for a mental or emotional condition?
No.
Okay. Any alcohol or previous involvement with alcohol or alcohol abuse in you or your family history?
My dad used to drink a lot. He stopped cold turkey about 7-8 years ago or something, but aside from that, no. I mean, just my dad.
Do you remember any vivid experiences when he was
one specifically
that were negative to you?
In the moment when I was a kid, I think I was maybe 12 or 13, he called my mom to pick him up from a bar from a friend's house, and my sister and I went with him, and I'm about 13 or so, my sister's maybe 9 years old. And so she's not going to leave us. Mom's not going to leave us home alone, at 2 a.m. So she takes us with her to go pick him up. We go pick him up. He's drunk as can be, and she's helping him get into the apartment. And I just remember her sitting him down on the couch and just it was at the time funny to see, you know, this behavior, but then looking back at it, it was very sad almost, just
Right.
how out of control he was, and as a father, especially in front of his kids, looking back at it, you know, I was, as an adult now, as a man now, I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for him looking back at that, but aside from that, he was never violent or aggressive or anything like that, but just.
But that experience left an impact on you.
Yeah, and I mean he's gotten arrested for DWI a few times, and so financially that also impacted the family. So.
Oh, so there you go. Okay, very good. Any drug use, previous treatment for drugs for you or anybody in the family?
Not for me. I know my family, again, dad, uncles, cousins have a history of marijuana and cocaine use and stuff like that.
Wow, that's really something. How's that affected you in your daily life now? Has it had any effect on you at all?
I don't think so. No.
Not that you're consciously aware of.
Not that I'm aware of now.
Okay. Medical history. You have any allergies? Known allergies? Any current medications you're taking for any kind of medical issues?
No, just vitamins.
That's supplements right there. Yeah. Okay. Any major medical problems in your history, like high blood pressure, migraines, anything, diabetes?
No.
So you're a healthy guy, 100%.
I am, yeah.
Work
I am, for
out,
the most
eat well, take care of
I
yourself.
try to.
Look like you're in shape to me.
It's the shirt. It's the shirt. Buy a little bit bigger shirts, it hides things a little bit. So.
Did you ever serve in the military?
No.
Ever look into that as a possibility?
I did for a little bit when senior year of high school. All the recruiters come talk to you, and I was at that point where I'm like, what am I going to do after high school's over?
I think I remember some of those
And,
conversations. Yes.
I thought about Army and Marines, and then I had people at church saying, "Oh, go Air Force." Just never. It was actually my mom. I couldn't leave my mom. You know, my dad works out of state a lot, and it was my mom and my younger sister who at the time was I think in 7th or 8th grade.
Correct.
So I just felt like I couldn't enlist or anything for the fear of having to go to a different state or a different country and leaving them behind. So
Very good. That's good. Just for the record, tell me what you do as your profession now.
I'm a police officer for the city of Fort Worth.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's good. I'm proud of you, Jonathan. That's really good.
I didn't serve in the military. I was like, I'll just serve here locally.
There you go. Works, right? Okay. Now, share with me your religious or spiritual values and beliefs. Can you summarize like what's happened to you in your spiritual or religious life, just to give us a baseline for
A
that?
little backstory, kind of. Yeah, I grew up Catholic, just like most Hispanic families do. Moved here from Arizona, and then in 6th grade I met my now best friend, who was a Christian. And we walked to and from school, invited me to youth group, and my sophomore year of high school, I became a Christian, gave my life to the Lord, and for the last almost 11 years, this Sunday will actually be 11 years that I gave my life to the Lord.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Early happy birthday Sunday.
So it's been a very crazy up and down 11 years, just with everything, me personally, my family, and then everything going on now. But that's where I'm at.
Some radical changes in the last
A lot,
11
yeah.
years,
It's been a lot.
Overall, it's been good.
Yeah, I can't say that I regret making that decision.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I would have more regret not making that decision, to be completely honest. But because I've seen the way my dad lives, and then just not even me, my mom and my dad. My mom is super involved in church now. She's going to my church, the Spanish services and stuff. Super involved, and she is just has a huge passion and desire for the Lord and for just service. And then I see my dad, who is not living that lifestyle, a Christian lifestyle, and there's definitely a void with him. And he's a good man, he's a good dad, has always provided regardless of, problems with the law. But it's just empty, is what it seems like, compared to my mom. And just using them two as an example is, if I could go back and pick either one, I would definitely, pick Christ over not.
Does that cause you any difficulty for your own personal life, where you've seen that that conflict?
As far as my
between-
parents go,
Yeah.
a little. There's been some things where I've had to call my dad out, especially I first became a Christian when I was 16, and so being in high school, late high school years, whether it was religious, standing up for beliefs, not that he was against them or anything, but just righteousness versus unrighteousness. We butted heads a little bit, and the way he treated my mom was definitely not Christ-centered, if you will. So I would have to step up to that and challenge him. And then we've had conversations where I was more so of a counselor almost, and challenging him and trying to nudge him towards being, at the very least, if not a Christian, being a better man, a better husband. So yeah, we've had some issues over that, but nothing
That's good.
nothing.
Good police officer.
tears.
That's good police work in your own home, right?
Yeah, well, that's
Domestic disputes.
Yeah, that's another thing. Another conflict has been religion and work. I said, I've told people, being a Christian and being a police officer can be contradicting sometimes, because I'm supposed to be, sharing the love of Christ while I have you at gunpoint. So it's a little difficult to do, especially, after a pursuit or a foot chase, or, this person just assaulted their wife. And it's hard to be loving to a man who just pummeled his wife's face in front of their kids, and she's missing teeth and is bloody, and so it's been a struggle, and I've had some talks where I'm like, Lord, what are you doing? What are you
Those are
doing?
good though.
Yeah.
Because you're a minister, you're to punish the evildoers and praise the well-doers, and so you're a minister of justice because you carry authority in the state that's rendering. So you would say you're a Bible-believing Christian, you go to a believing church, and your spiritual values are based in Scripture, basically. Is
Yes.
what I'm hearing? Yeah. And that's your pursuit in everyday living, and you're trying to apply that in your job too. Well, that's a good thing. If there's conflict with that, it's a good conflict, right? Okay. So we've shared that now. You briefly mentioned the range of concerns that you had, the conflicts between the different aspects of your life. Can you boil that down to maybe some issues that we can tangibly say, this is one, this is one, this is one. Is it depression? Is it angst over this situation? Is it personal sin? What are we really battling with here from your mind? If you could begin to share a little bit about that. Could be a combination of all of the above.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of, I've mentioned it a few times, but I don't want to give it power, so to speak, but
Right.
depression and loneliness has been one.
Okay.
Going back to when I was younger, I don't remember ever really being by myself.
Right.
It was always, with family, having a big family, multiple families in one household. And as I got older, moving out on my own for a little bit, or on my own, having roommates, getting married, I was never by myself. So now where I'm at this point in my life, I'm in an apartment by myself with my dog.
And how long has that been?
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's been something I've been battling, has been being not alone, but feeling lonely and feeling, away from people, because I'm pretty sociable. I'm a pretty sociable person. And so that's been a struggle. What was I thinking?
Are there any more? Those are two that you mentioned. And I guess as you're saying, those are probably the two that are squeezing the most right now.
A little bit, yeah. I would also say, I don't know if this counts as one, but almost selfishness I've just been thinking about myself a lot.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sure does. But you're by yourself.
Right.
So are you saying
I'm
when
saying prior to that, there was decisions that I made that were very selfish that led me to
where
where
you're
I'm at now. Yeah.
So where are you with that? I mean, are there things behind that? You're pondering that, you're evaluating that, or are you spending time beating yourself up? I mean,
yeah,
about that. Which,
not so much now. I've kind of, I guess it transitioned from selfishness to depression / loneliness, and now I'm in almost a fear, if you will, of a lot of things.
So your perspective has changed a lot through
The
this
last year.
this last year's experience you've been
Yes.
walking through.
Yeah.
And so you're reformatting, is that what I'm hearing?
I'm trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Been meeting with family and friends that have been encouraging and, you know, giving me advice, but it's for some reason been difficult to apply that.
Sure.
Even though I can give that same advice to someone else
Sure.
and say, hey, apply it here.
Sure.
But yeah, just, I think that's a good way of putting it, was selfishness for a big stretch, a big
Right.
while. And then, you know, fear, or selfishness, depression, loneliness, depression, and then fear now.
And that would be a summation of what you're interested in tackling, as best you can understand.
Correct.
Okay? All right, so are there any behaviors that you're unhappy with that have flown out of that? You know, your depression started with selfishness, then depression, loneliness, and fear. And have your behaviors changed as a result of having walked and beginning to identify these emotions and the effect they're having on you?
Yeah, I used to never go out. I go out now. I go out to a bar that does karaoke, and it's a lot of fun. But there have been times where just social pressures. I drink a little bit too much, and to the point where I don't remember. You know, I have people giving me rides home, but I don't remember the rides home. There's been a lot of.
So what would you identify that behavior as?
As far as
Is medicating your pain, maybe? I don't know.
I don't.
What
I don't
happens
even-
when you go there? I'm trying to
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
it. So you go there because you want to socialize. You go there
To go-
because
Yeah.
you don't go there
and
to
now I
drink. You
find-
just have. Or am I wrong? You go there.
I don't go there specifically with the goal I'm going to go get drunk.
Okay.
I go there, you know, so and so's going. I'm going to go hang out with this buddy or this friend, this group
So
of
it's for
people,
comrade. For
Mhm.
yeah.
to not feel
Oh,
alone.
yeah, have something to do. Yeah.
And of course, it's not with. Not that they're bad people, but not with the best people,
Right.
and so it's
Not the people from your church.
correct.
Okay.
And so it's the head pastor, the lead pastor there too. He's buying drinks for everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
No. It's
I understand.
yeah, just not people from church, people that I've grown up with, and of course it's, you know, we're getting a drink here or there, and then before you know it, this guy's buying a round for everyone, this guy's buying shots for everyone, and you know, hey, why not? And like I said, after a few drinks, you just forget what's going on.
Sure.
So
So that would be one.
that would be one.
Any other behaviors that are troubling you?
Troubling me. Other people wouldn't, you know, most of
No.
society wouldn't
No.
say it's a problem, but my language,
Okay.
using more profanity than I used to the last few years. Like I said, when I was younger, it was my vocabulary, just left and right, this word, that word. But as I, you know, became a believer, became a Christian, and started renewing my mind in that
Mhm.
sense, I think I'm not going to say I think the Lord really helped
Christ in you.
tame that, just to a point where if anything slipped out ever, or if I heard someone else say it, I'd be like, oh my goodness, did you just say that? But now it's kind of just reverted back to just flippantly just throwing that out there, and that's something I'm not happy about, just because someday I plan on I would love to have kids, and I don't want my kids walking around the house saying that. I don't want, you know, my nieces or nephews, or, you know, kids, friends, children, you know, saying, oh, you know, Mr. Jonathan said that, so I can
Right.
say it because he's a police officer, because he's this, you know.
And he's a Christian. Yeah.
And he's a Christian. Our Christians, it's something I don't want to do. And
So would you say underlying that has come partly from the culture of law enforcement, the guys you work around? Is there a culture there that?
I think a little bit, because even before these issues, for whatever the part of town where I work, you know, you can't sir and ma'am everyone, and sometimes it's you say bro, man, dude, whatever, all
Right.
these different things, and sometimes when you say tell someone get on the ground, it doesn't work.
Right.
When you say get on,
Yeah.
adjective ground,
Yeah.
it works.
Right.
And it's just the way the culture that they grew up in, and so it's kind of having to use that little tool in the
Mhm.
your back pocket
Mhm.
that you have to for work, but
And are the other officers also, do they do a lot of that? Have you seen that modeled by your superiors?
yeah, and again, it's not just every day,
No,
knock
no,
on
I
the door.
understand.
It's those intense
Right.
situations where, and
But other officers too, that
Yes.
you, and probably guys who have trained you
Mhm.
also did that.
yeah,
And
so
probably
it's-
good guys.
Yeah,
Who didn't normally
good.
have a vulgar language, but
Yeah.
when they met certain situations, you saw that modeled, am I correct?
It's one of those where the baseline's here, and then
Right.
it hits the fan, and you go
Correct.
up here and come back down.
Correct.
So,
And the emotion of the moment also
Yeah.
would affect that.
and then I've had it afterwards too, where I have someone in handcuffs afterwards or in the back of my car, and hey, I didn't mean to use that word at you, man. Sorry, it slipped out. Or even telling other officers like, hey, I'm sorry that I said that.
That's
Or
good.
even if there's no one else around, it's
Right. You're
just me
sensitive
and
to that.
another officer. Yeah.
So we have behavior outside and language. Anything else that comes to mind that is a behavior issue?
There's I don't know if it counts. Kind of there's the spiritual turmoil, I guess.
Right.
Would you would that count? Would
No,
you
I think so.
count
I think so. I mean,
just with everything going on, just
Yeah.
feeling
you're not to the level spiritually you'd like to be.
where I was before and where I want to be, that I
Sure.
want to go beyond.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think that's a fair thing, because spiritual means there's behavior, right?
Mhm.
Okay, if I'm not reading my Bible as much as I used to, I'm not praying as much as I used to, that's a behavior.
Right.
Correct. And that, to me, often fuels my passion. If I avoid that stuff, I'm not as passionate.
Right.
Right? Is that what you're communicating? Is that how it works with you?
To be honest, I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm more focused right now on just feeling inadequate.
Sure. Well,
Spiritually.
that's a feeling.
Yeah.
Feeling inadequate. And you don't know what's behind that. You haven't thought that through to say, why am I feeling inadequate? Is it because I'm not?
I think it goes back to the selfishness, loneliness, depression, and then fear.
So then your identity gets in those things.
Mhm.
Right.
As opposed to where it was before,
Right.
which was
When you're operating at an optimal level, you were spiritually recognizing who you were in Christ,
Mhm.
believing that, living in that as best you knew how, right?
yes,
And so we're saying that fuels, maybe that's kind of an underlying, it fuels the other, or doesn't, or limits the other,
right.
however you look at it.
Well, I think
Are
too.
we accurate on that?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's
Go ahead. What
yeah.
else
No,
you
no.
say?
I'm just.
Yeah, you're processing.
I'm gonna talk now.
Sure,
just
great.
the last year. I've shared with you before. I had an affair, and that was harmful in every aspect, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I think a big thing was after that, after I told my wife about it and tried to do what I could to fix the relationship. I got to a point where I realized, well, I can't fix the relationship right now. And so what I thought I would do, or what I did, was spend more time with the Lord. I'd go to the church after hours, late at night, and this isn't to brag in any way.
No. You're just
I'd go at 11 o'clock at night, and I'd leave at 3 o'clock in the morning after just walking the parking lot, crying, praying, really wanting to spend more time with God. Going to house of prayer meetings, meeting with different people, pastors, counselors from church, and I think all of that, I tried to have conversations with my wife throughout that, and a big, gut punch was when she told me that I was doing everything for the approval of man, or for show, or to make myself look like the victim and everything. And just as time went by, as I was spending time with the Lord, and again, I know those words came from a place of hurt.
Mhm.
But really, when I heard those, it was more so. I sat back and thought, well, God, if I'm doing all this stuff, my wife doesn't. My wife, who is flawed, a human being, doesn't want me. Why would you want me?
Right.
And so that kind of knocked me off my horse, my spiritual horse, if you will, and it
Sure.
kind of discouraged me to spend time with God. So that's where a lot of the those issues come from, I guess. It's just kind of one person's words that, again, I know we're from a place of hurt, but it carried a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Carried a lot of weight. So.
Impacted you greatly,
Mhm.
right? So, this depression, loneliness, selfishness, the change of life, you're in recovery from all that now because of what has transpired. Can you identify I think you've pretty well done that, but can you identify any other consequences other than making you feel like you presently feel?
I've noticed external consequences with some friends. Obviously, we had a good group of friends. My wife and I did. And, I haven't spoken to some of them in a while, and definitely her family. I still keep up with some of her siblings and the in-laws and nieces and nephews and stuff. But there's definitely been consequences of those relationships. Just people that I would see all the time,
Right.
and talk to all the time, hang out with.
Right.
I don't, because she also needs friends.
Right.
And it just feels like, despite there not being sides, it feels like sides were kind of chosen.
Yeah.
And again, I don't blame anyone. I don't blame her or anything, but it's definitely something that has been bothering me a little bit.
Sure.
And has upset me at times where I'm like, I thought we were friends, and
Right.
it's kind of like, oh, well, we're hanging out with her because whatever reasons there are. And so
So consequences are the change in relationships.
Mhm.
That's a huge consequence of this whole situation.
Mhm.
Your relationships have changed with certain
Yeah.
people very much. That's good. So let me ask you this: what do you see as some of your strengths? What do you enjoy doing? What do you like to do? What energizes you?
if you asked me like a year and a half ago, I bet I could give you a good answer. But I'm trying to figure that out again. I used to help out with the youth group,
Mhm.
and just being a mentor, older brother type of figure.
Mhm.
I enjoy that, but I haven't been able to because of work and because of everything.
Mhm.
And that was something that my wife and I were trying to figure out, is how we could both serve, how we could both be involved in something.
Right.
And that just wasn't for her, and I think I took that a little bit too personally, where it was, I wanted to force that. I wanted her to be helping out with the youth group to a point where I said I was kind of putting that above our relationship. And so we kind of had to give that up for the
Right.
better of our marriage.
Mhm.
But that's a passion of mine, I think, that I really enjoy, just hanging out, talking to, and leading, mentoring, if you will.
Mhm.
Aside from that, I mean, just regular.
But do you not do that in your job as well?
I do.
And do you feel
And there's
energized and strengthened when you help, let's say, a domestic dispute or a guy who's really struggling you have to deal with on the street? I mean, does that not encourage you through anything? Because you're a very good communicator.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But I feel like for whatever reason I've discounted that.
I understand, but you are God's representative
Right.
in more ways than one, as your Christianity and your role in the community. So, do you still not value your position and you obviously enjoy your work?
I do.
So that would be, I would think that would be a strength. I mean, how are your reviews?
Yeah, they're good. I
Yeah.
haven't been complained on too much, and when I have been, it's just because my sergeants have had my back on that. I've gotten compliments and
Wait a minute, they're not having your back. They're just testifying who you are, right?
yeah.
If I know you, I
Yeah.
think you would be. You're an excellent public servant. You have an excellent personality, and I would see you adding that every day on the street. Personally, I've been some grumpy policemen. I've never seen
Right.
you grumpy, Jonathan. You're always affirming and inquiring, and
Yeah.
that's very good. Very good. So, have you, where you are right now with these conditions that we've summarized, affecting your relationships, depression and loneliness, the starting in selfishness, what solutions have you attempted to put into play to try to adjust some of these behaviors and resolve some of these things and or to attain to a level of recovery? Because if I understand you correctly, I'm hearing you saying you're not where you used to be spiritually, and that translates, correct me if I'm wrong, not where I really want to be.
Correct.
And so you've attempted in the past, and what has worked and what hasn't worked to turn these things around.
Yeah, the like I mentioned, those attempts. It was last year in the fall, winter time where, my wife called me out, I guess, or said what she said about my attempts at bettering myself spiritually. It hit me hard. Hit me hard just because I think I was seeking her approval as well within that, and it was if I could get a better relationship with the Lord, and if I could better my marriage, great. If I can't, then I don't want either of it, is what it felt like. And now it's getting to a point where I've almost had to not worry or care about the marriage or that relationship, to try to just rekindle, respark that relationship with the Lord, or at least from my end, just to be consistent with that.
Do you think it's fully recoverable to the place you want it to be?
My relationship with Christ? Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. I think I could.
Good.
I don't want it to get to the place where I was. I want it to get past that, beyond that, because that's.
So you're committed intensely to that.
It's right there. Yeah. That's what I want, and it's just.
So how do you envision that actually coming to pass? Or is that what we're looking for?
Yeah,
the steps of how to get there.
I've had some opportunities. I mentioned to you before, having dinner with Rachel and Will has helped a lot, just to avoid the loneliness and depression. And so that's having that community and being a part of their family, and being involved with people has cut out those two, and then it's a matter of what am I going to fill that cup of selfishness and fear, and what am I going to fill it up with? Am I going to fill it up with more selfishness, or am I going to try to empty that out and fill it with service or whatever else? And getting involved in a Bible study that a friend has set up, which I've missed the past 2 weeks, just again for fear's sake of I don't know if God wants to spend time with me. It is kind of the mindset that I've had with all that. So
Do you think that's accurate?
I know it's not.
Okay.
I know it's not. But it's still one of those things where it's like, if you're at a stoplight and you're the second car in traffic and it's green and the car in front of you is not going, the car next to you is not going, you kind of look around, you're like, I know I'm supposed to go because it's green, but no one else is doing it.
Right.
So is that the,
Right.
So in my heart, I know that's true.
Right.
In my mind, I'm having trouble having it click. So.
Yeah. But you're coming to very good conclusions, and you're passionate about this because you've sought this out. So what I recognize is that we have a workable situation here.
Mm-hmm.
We have some things we can begin to identify and process, and then we'll put together a plan and a grid and see how we can agree on that and what we're going to do moving forward.
Right.
So I think you've clearly enunciated your situation. Are you satisfied with how we just process through this? Did that, you feel like we covered the bases that are important to you as we start these sessions?
Yeah, that's a good
Baseline.
good baseline, good way to start.
Okay, okay. I appreciate that. I'm gonna wrap this up now, and we will meet again. I'll be in touch. I'll give you some homework after we
No,
close
no,
this
don't do that.
video. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's put that aside. Yeah, this is